Feeling like life is overwhelming? Are you ready to break free and learn what it feels like to be unstoppable? Then you're in the right spot. Welcome to We Are Not Lost, the podcast focused on helping women find their true selves, learn to live more authentically, and stop feeling burned out. Here's your host, Satvinder Kaur.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the We Are Not Lost podcast with your host, Sat. And today I have a very amazing guest with me. Her name's Shaunna Black. Welcome, Shaunna.
Hello.
And Shaunna helps guide and inspire leaders around the world. She's a former Fortune 500 executive and helps leaders inspire their people. I'm so excited to have you here. And my today's episode is the purpose and passion discovery. Welcome, Shaunna, again.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here today. Thank you, Seth.
I want to start our conversation with this, the quote I was reading this morning, actually, by Oprah Winfrey. Follow your passion. It will lead to your purpose. And I was kind of thinking about it. I know even the passion, I know, is we all understand it, what the passion is, but it's like the purpose sometimes sounds pretty like complicated. Like we think, okay, what is our purpose? It's not easy. I thought I knew my passion, and I thought I was falling for last 20 years until I really hit the threshold one day. I'm like, despite working so hard, and after even I'm doing a lot of learning complex things, how come I'm not feeling at ease? And I kind of felt kind of frustrated and did not figure out. But then I realized, actually, I was missing the most fundamental aspect of my thing is like self-awareness. As soon as I realized that, and that's how my self-awareness journey kind of started. I started learning more about myself, and it's so amazing. Like more I learned about myself, and as soon as I started aligning day-to-day tasks with what my strengths were, and it completely changed the perspective. And now I'm like, I just really feel ease with, even though in my career, in my spiritual journey, in all areas of life. So I realized like this is purpose and mission is a very crucial aspect of the self-awareness. And I was reading about your quotes the other day on LinkedIn. You wrote it like technology can be lonely for women.
Right.
And I was really inspired by you're doing a lot of contribution to the women in tech. And tell me about this quote. You wrote it like how have you ever felt lonely in the tech industry, and how was your journey started?
Yeah, I think that honestly, many women feel lonely in technology, and I would include many people of color. I think anytime you're one of the onlys, it can be very lonely. And my journey started a little differently. And I would say, commenting on the story you're telling, I would say to you that maybe your purpose has evolved. That maybe when you were younger, you were living into your purpose and technology was more exciting. But I don't think purpose is static. I think purpose evolves over a lifetime. It certainly has for me. So I actually was a high school teacher first. I taught mathematics and English literature, which is a little odd for a high school teacher, but I loved it. And I did it for 5 years. But then I evolved. I realized that I really wanted to use my background in mathematics and science to enter technology. I was sort of in that generation where the women's lib movement sort of happened in the middle of college for me. And so when I went back to school to get a mechanical engineering degree at 28. And during that time, my husband at that time and I decided to have kids too, because we thought, well, I have more flexibility. It's a good combination. So I started at 28 and graduated at 30 with a BS in mechanical engineering and a 2.5-year-old daughter and a 6-month-old son. So I started at Texas Instruments as a freshman engineer at 30. So I was an oddity in many ways. I was the second woman added to the team that I joined in Texas Instruments, and we happened to be on the construction side, building out big manufacturing plants for TI. And I was on the record as the first nursing engineer in Texas Instruments that I knew of at that time. So that was an oddity. and I had, 2 little kids at home. And technology still to this day in many ways, and I'm going to use masculine and feminine just not as gender, but as energy. Words, right? And technology is still very much a masculine energy, masculine style industry, in my opinion. And it's just because women still only make up about 20% of the technologists that work in technology today. And if you look at women leaders in technology, you're talking about less than 10. Because I had already worked for a long time, because I had leadership roles in my life, because I also had, I think, an English background, and I'm a woman. When I started at 30, I not only was a mechanical engineer who had all the IQ, but I was a mechanical engineer who could read, write, and communicate and build relationships.
Wow, because what a great combination.
Yes, I had the emotional intelligence. And I think that happens to a lot of women who enter technology.
Yes.
Is that, because we're women, we're expected from a very young age to have the emotional intelligence as well. We're expected to develop it.
Naturally, we are good in that.
Yes. Well, and we're expected to develop it. And emotional intelligence can be developed.
Yes.
And so I arrived at 30, the same age basically as my bosses. And so I got promoted pretty quickly to project management jobs and project leadership jobs. And so that was exciting. I had leadership roles, but my style was very different. The style was still, at that time, very much command and control, top down. And that just wasn't a style that worked for me. I had come out of education. I had come out of, female systems. And I loved working in teams, and I loved collaborating, and I loved people being involved in the decision making, and I loved group decisions. And I was old enough that I realized I had to do it my way. I had, at that time, a husband who would have been totally happy for me to stay at home with our kids. And I knew I was a better working mom than a stay-at-home mom. So every day I would go to work and leave, 3 people and then 4 people, because I had another son behind, and happy to see me leave the house. And so I went to work with the attitude, well, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to do it my way. And so my style was very different from what people saw. It was very collaborative. It was a style of serving rather than directing. It was very inclusive. And there were frequently questions about, well, can that really work here? A hard driving, bottom line environment, can it really work? And so I had to stand up for my way, and my way was questioned. But my way also produced results and produced, really great team performance. And so over time, it was accepted. But it can be really tough.
That is, I want
to be the only one.
Yeah, that could be the good thing is you were able to identify you and who you are.
Yeah.
And you were ready to kind of align that with the bigger purpose. But but that's not easy
No,
for
it's
us as
not
a
easy.
woman to, I don't think we all have some kind of the way we grew up, conditioned mind, and some fears, and which prevent us to become who we are.
Yep.
But I think the moment you give yourself permission to be out of that conditioned mind and really accept yourself and have courage,
Right.
I think that's the moment you get that magic where you feel ease.
Right.
And you feel so like power. And
Yes.
it is the same, like I have noticed in my previous 10-year career, 15-year, where I felt like I was just chasing the milestones. I went after one after another. As soon as I achieved the milestone, my next question was, what is next?
Right.
And that really drove me crazy until I realized I already know who I am. I need to accept myself. I really need to aligning my, my task and my purpose with that. And it's the same industries, technology. And I started as a QA in testing area and performance engineer, and then software development part. But actually, I realized like those strengths I didn't have it naturally. So I was doing it. I made myself to do it. But until I shifted my role a little bit more around people, putting people together in project management, I didn't feel like I was working.
Right.
So that's the kind of point you made it. The day you make decision, you know who yourself, maybe must be tough for people to accept it, but it produced the results because everything aligned. So I think that's the kind of key thing. What you want to say, like even in today's world, right? Like we are all women in our career, like how they should like kind of pause and pay attention who they are. Like what you think the challenges are, why we are not, most of the women, even like I'm still on the journey. I'm still learning. But why we sometimes take so long?
Well, I look back on my life, and as odd as it was that I started engineering at 30, I look back on my life and realize that it was a huge blessing to me. I actually made VP at TI in 10 years. And I looked back at my life and I realized that the blessing was that I started at 30. If I had gone into that technology system at 22, I did not have the self-esteem, the self-awareness, the experience to be different, to have the courage to say, okay, if I'm going to be here and be a working mom, I better do it my way, right? Because I've got 4 people at home that aren't all that happy right now about me leaving every morning. And I think it was because I was 30 that I had enough background and enough work experience and enough, as you said, self-awareness. I knew what drove me. And I was raised by parents who taught me that leadership is about serving others. It's about using your power for and with others. It is not about power over people. My parents had been servant leaders their whole lives, but besides, they're focused on our family and their own careers, they volunteered in hospitals, they volunteered at church. We were raised to, my grandparents were immigrants, and in one generation, both my parents had college degrees. So in one generation, their life had changed so much, right?
Wow,
and so they were very aware of how blessed they were, coming as immigrants and then becoming college educated and then being able to raise a family like their children who they expected all of us to go to college, right?
Yes.
And so they always raised us saying, we are blessed. And because we are blessed, we have responsibility to share our blessing with others and serve others. And I think leadership as service is very aligned with women because so much of our life we grow up serving others, right? And so to walk into a culture where it was more leadership is power of others, it's command and control, it's directive, you do what I say to do, it didn't fill me. And I knew that if I was going to be away at work every day, I better love it. And so I think that was the beginning of me understanding my purpose in that environment. I went into technology because I wanted to be more in a technical field. But I knew from the very beginning I was not going to go up the technical ladder. I knew I wanted to be a leader in technology. So even when I went back to college, I knew I wanted to be on the professional business side of technology. And I knew that I wanted to work in teams, and I loved working together to create really extraordinary outcomes. And so that purpose led me down that path. And I knew in my heart that I had to do it my way. Where do you find the courage from it? I think you find the courage first from the inside out. You know when you're in alignment with your purpose, life is fun. When you're not in alignment with your purpose, it's not fun. Shows up, right? It's hard work. Yeah. So I think that's the first thing, is that I had fun with my team. I enjoyed working with them. I never saw them myself as like top of a hierarchy. I grew up in sports teams. I grew up in school teams where we all collaborated and worked together for a common goal. That just felt more natural for me, and I believed that we would deliver better outcomes. And by the way, we did.
No, great. No, thank you for sharing. And yes, I'm so much agree with it. If every day we wake up and if we are not feeling excited about doing a work, even these days after pandemic, things change, even we don't have to commute, but still, if we don't feel excited about day-to-day work, I would say instead of keep going, just give a pause to yourself and just ask the right question.
Right.
Like, why I'm not feeling the way? Because you will get all the answers within you. You already have within you. We just need to, that's why I like my podcast name, We Are Not Lost. But yes, we just need to reconnect.
Yes.
And all the answers we have. And earlier, as you were mentioning about like how you grew up in the family, they kind of helped. That led you to like going to the technology and all that. Sometimes I feel like this purpose and passion thing also depend on the environment you grew up.
Yes, absolutely.
Like I'm also immigrant. I mean, I'm also like we're 4 sisters, 1 brother, and I always been told like never let anyone tell you like you're a girl and you cannot do. And even my grandpa, I still remember that. Like I think I was like maybe 6 or 7 year old. I still remember that part, and I think that's how I always were so outgoing and extrovert, and always want to do. And when I moved to U.S., so I think that's kind of because I grew up in that, like always want to do something more. But I didn't have a guidance.
Right.
And I missed that part, like self-awareness part, and I just started following, and I switched actually 9 to 10 career. And because, again, I was missing the fundamental part, but I was chasing, okay, I think this is better. And until I kind of hit that threshold, and one of my job was also like distributing the mail for post office. And there was like temporary job. And since I think it just came up in this conversation, I think it's kind of funny to share, but I've been given that van, not the postal van, but I was using my own Grand Caravan, Dodge Caravan. I used to put the chopping board in between the seats, and somehow I managed to do my belt. And I was distributing the mail with the right hand and driving with the one hand. Even though, I mean, it's not that safe, but I manage it because all in my mind, this is a little bit better career than the previous one. I can make a little better living. So that's the objective was driving me. until I kind of, the next month I saw my arm was bruised. And, after that, it took another 2 or 3 career change. Then I realized I need to stop. And something is not right. But once I got into technology, it changed. That I kind of fell in love in it. Like I started, but then it took me time to align again my role.
Right.
So that's how I'm saying, like, the way sometimes that missing piece is a very crucial. Like, so I think that's where you were going. Like, we really need to ask this question: if we are happy, we enjoying, are we having ease? So those are clues, right?
They are clues. They are clues. I really believe, if you talk about philosophy, I really believe that each of us are uniquely and beautifully made and there's nobody else like us, right? There's no other set in the universe, in my opinion. There's no other Shaunna with our unique DNA, our unique family background, our experience, our gifts, our talents, our passions, right? We're beautifully made, and within whom we are the seeds of everything we need to do to find our purpose. So I think it does start with honoring who we are and honoring the beauty that we are and looking inward, not outward, to the answer of why am I here, right? Why am I given this collection of gifts and experiences and backgrounds and interests and strengths, yes. Right? I think too often, people look outwards for the answers. And in my life, I've always found the answer on the inside. And I think that, you can go back to your origin stories as a young kid. If you're looking at what are the elements that make you so uniquely different and beautiful, you can find the seeds for your purpose in your stories growing up.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, I know I can go back and remember when I was 7 or 8 and we moved a lot. And I went to 2 elementaries, 2 middle schools, and 2 high schools because my dad was a geophysicist and worked for oil companies. So we just moved all the time. And I remember, at 7 or 8, leading our neighborhood friends in things like parades around the street or adventures across the neighborhood exploring. Or we set up the garage as a nightclub and we would get up and take turns being the cabaret singer or the audience, right? And I never thought of those things as being a leader. I just thought they were fun, innovative, creative things that I did with other people. But that was the beginning of me leading others, yes. Right? And if I look all through my background, in high school, I was, head of sports teams or I was class captain, right? And in middle school, I started as a softball pitcher. And just by virtue of that position, it puts you in a leadership position. And I found out that I really loved collaborating with a group of people and creating things, right? And that was sort of the seed of leadership. And I also am a leader as virtue of my birth order. I'm the oldest of 5 and 7 years.
That's
I got a lot of leadership experience.
That is such a powerful thing. So yes, we have everything within ourselves.
Absolutely.
And I think the very one simple thing, if we all can do, just connect our dots from our childhood.
Absolutely.
Like when I see myself, it's so clear. Mm-hmm. You don't even have a doubt. I see myself singing, participating in singing competition, in dramas, right. And doing a lot of debate competition. In college, organizing a lot of events. And when I see everything, it's so clear. I love to use I used to love music, things. And now if I just simply, I'm saying, if I involve those things in my day-to-day, activities, I'm a very happy person.
Absolutely.
And it's a very simple formula. And sometimes we're missing that part because of that conditions, environment, or some like temporary situations. And we start believing that other version of ourselves. So, yes, I think just connecting to ourselves, I would say, I will just give this idea to everyone, like, if we can do this exercise, like here and there, if we can start writing as a child, as when we were in college, and what we used to love, I think that gives a lot of clue. And those we can, I think, find, it doesn't matter which role or which industry we are, you still can find the clues like how we can align those there.
Absolutely. And I have a 6-year-old granddaughter, and I just watch her, right? She never works on anything that she doesn't find fun, right? In fact, the things that her mom might want her to work on that she doesn't find fun, she resists, hard. And then we go to elementary school, and we're told to start sitting in a chair and following the rules and do this project and do that. And we're given a lot of messages. Don't stay in your joy, right? But when you look at children, they're so clear about who they are and what their purpose is, right? And I think the other clue is not only in those stories, because when I look back on my life now, I can see the breadcrumbs. I can see how they're all connected, right? But also other people also can see your gifts. Sometimes we diminish our gifts by saying, oh, it's not really a gift. Everybody can do it. That's not true.
Doubt, right?
It's not true. Your gifts are your gifts.
It's unique.
It's unique. And what's easy for you is not easy for everybody else. And it took me a long time to learn that, right? Because the things that I did very easily, even later in my career, I assume, oh, well, it's not that hard. Everybody can. No, that's not right.
For some people,
that's a clue. That's a clue. If you do it easily and you enjoy it, that's a clue about your purpose and your natural gifts. And so I think it's really important to ask people, well, what is it when you think about me is something that you just recognize how easily and well I do something, right? Because sometimes other people can see us better. So, for example, early in my career at Texas Instruments, I had a VP. I was a very low-level person. So this was like a person 4 levels above me, who started assigning me as manager of his worst groups. And so I would go into one of his really problem areas, and my new team and I would spend 2 really hard years turning it around, and I would be ready. We would get it done, and I would be ready to kick back and enjoy the rewards of my hard work. And Leon would tap me on the shoulder again and take me to another terrible place. And I was like, what the heck? What am I doing wrong, and why is he punishing me?
You just finished the project, like,
I wanted to sit back and enjoy it, and he took me to another terrible place, right? It was not till many years later that I realized that he recognized in all the people that he had working for him that I was really good at cleaning up messes. And it was later when I took strength tests that I found out that I'm really good at unleashing talent in people. And I'm really good at arranging, quote unquote, chairs on the deck. So I can come into an organization and look at the organizational structure and figure out who we need on the bus and what's the best arrangement of the organization, right? I had no clue that was a gift. But he saw that early in my life and started utilizing it for the company's benefit. So that's another example where sometimes other people who have more experience and more wisdom can call out things that you don't even realize are special. right? And as a result of that, I really spent the rest of my career doing those kind of things because at the end of the day, he was right. I did enjoy it. Yeah, it was a lot of hard work at the beginning, but it was so rewarding for me.
Because it was meeting your needs.
Exactly.
So I think it's just, that's the kind of perfect formula, right? If it's meeting your needs, you're going to feel good about it.
Yes.
So
and so I think that's another way to find out, where your purpose and passion is. And at the end of the day, for me, I think purpose really answers the question, how do I want to contribute to the world?
Exactly.
What is it that I do to make the world a better place? And what is it I do that leaves a legacy of improvement in the world? I think we're all looking for that. I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning and says, how can I fail? Everyone wants to be successful. They want to be part of a successful team. They want to contribute to the success of their team.
They want to contribute, yes.
They want to contribute to the success of their family and the success of their community. At the end of the day, that's what drives our purpose.
Yeah, no, that's really so it's awesome, like the story you shared about like how the other people can identify and all these clues we need to find. I think it goes back to the point, we do have everything within us. Then how come it's taking so long for us, and after 15 years and 20 years, 10 years, so that's my kind of purpose is, where I had to wait for many years. I want to give this message to other women who are just starting their career or already, doesn't matter where they are. I want to make sure we all are not on the autopilot mode,
right?
Where we just do the certain things in the morning, go there and come back, and we all have a purpose. That's also, I know it's very complicated to say, what is your purpose? I don't think we like that. Like it's hard to answer. So how you wanna how we can break it down? Like I have my own way to break down. I want to hear you, like, how you would, like, break down in simple, if say, okay, what does purpose means? I know we already kind of went over with it, like, the getting clues. But if more specific, day-to-day stuff, can we, in our daily routine, what we can do it and break it down to find more about our purpose and...
So I think that we all make it really too complicated because, first of all, I think purpose evolves over a lifetime.
Yes.
Right? And I think that purpose is about finding meaning in what you're doing today. To me, it's that simple.
Yes.
And, I started out in education, and high school, being a high school teacher, right? And, I think for most educators, finding purpose is easy because you're serving the student,
yes.
Right? And every year your job is to help them find their talents, find their gifts, increase their competencies, and continue on their growth path, right? And leadership is very much service. When I came into technology, it was not a philosophy of serving others, right? And it was a very intellectual gathering of producing products, right? And I mean, we worked in an environment where we were inventing the future, which was very thrilling. We knew what was going to be in your purses or your houses or your cars in the next 5 years, right? But I think sometimes it was still hard for people to understand what was the meaning of it to them personally. And over the years, as we started talking about it, we started talking about our purpose isn't to create integrated circuits. Our purpose is to change the way people work, learn, play, communicate, right? And that started giving our teams a sense of a much larger collective purpose, right? So I think in every moment we can find purpose in even the small things that we do, right? My family came and stayed with me this past week. They live in North Carolina, and in the last 2 years, my daughter was pregnant and had a newborn baby, so they hadn't traveled on a plane in 2 years. And last week, they all came to visit me, and I realized that my purpose for last week was just to live in the moment and love them being there, right?
Awesome. Yes.
So I think that even on a daily basis, we have to set our intentions for each day, again, in alignment with who we are as people and how we want to show up in the world and how we want to impact the people around us.
Yeah.
Right?
No, yeah, I mean, day to day, these are very small things like, embrace yourself, give yourself grace. And sometimes we are so hard. So purpose is not like working hard on yourself, finding a purpose. It's not a task.
It's not.
Finding purpose is like in a given moment, right?
Exactly.
How to just enjoy that, like live here and now.
Yes.
So
it's a day-to-day journey.
Day-to-day journey and setting your intentions.
Yes. And as you look back at your life, you start seeing the commonality, right? I think when you're living your purpose, two things happen: that your heart and your head gets aligned, right? Your head knows why you're doing it, and your heart is finding the joy of it, right? And each day you feel fulfilled because you've made a positive difference in the world. To me, those are the ingredients of knowing I'm living my purpose. And when I'm in alignment with my heart and my head, and I know I'm making a positive difference in the world, then my passion steps in because I feel that high emotional set point called love and joy and abundance. And that's the validation that I'm living my purpose, because I'm in flow, I'm in heart, I'm in high emotional energy, and things feel joyful and abundant.
Beautifully said. No, I really agree with it. So it's not like any kind of certification where we go to find a purpose and saying like, it's that simple.
Right.
So that's our main message, like how it's just spend some time with ourselves, acknowledge yourself, write down your strengths, and you will get all the answers right there. And that is the combination is. And sometimes, like, before you were talking about, and I think I remember that time when you say like sometimes being in a different role, like being in technology, is so hard to say, okay, what I am contributing to. But there is something more bigger than that.
That's right.
So like for in teaching, in a healthcare professional, it's so easy to say they're making some difference. But in some jobs, right, then we say, okay, we are just doing those certain things. How is feeling? But again, how you aligning, how you still like, you're still like contributing to a something there. Yes. So we all have unique gifts, strengths. Naturally, we are capable of that, but we just need to spend some time with ourselves and find our passion. And tell me about your day-to-day, any routine, something could help us, or anything what you like for the daily and consistent basis, where like I write gratitude myself. I write 3 things, what I'm grateful for that.
Right.
It always put me back in the sense, so like I'm grateful for certain things, and it like put me back in the feeling like, I'm feeling good about everything. So tell me about your...
Well, before I start telling about my discipline, I want to be sensitive to the fact that, I'm in that place in my life where I don't have children at home and I'm not juggling, family and husband and children. And I want to say this because my daughter is 39 with 2 kids, a full-time, very demanding job in both residential and commercial real estate. And her husband works offshore. So she's single woman, single mother many days of the month. And I was just talking to her today, trying to say, okay, take some moment out. She was melting down. And I was like, take a minute out, take a breath, settle down. And she's saying, Mom, I have no daycare. That's impossible, right? So my daily routine now is that when I wake up, I start with meditation. My meditation teacher always says, the first thing you do is start in the morning. And part of my discipline is I also journal about my wins the previous day and my observations of what had happened the previous day. And I find that those practices really give me ahas about learning opportunities or awareness. And in the evening, I end the day with journaling again and doing gratitude. When I was my daughter's age, and I was a young single working mom pretty early when my kids were young, because I got divorced fairly early. One of the things that I did very traditionally is I would go work out at 6 a.m. in the morning, right? Now, granted, I had somebody to help me with daycare, so I could leave and do that. But I didn't at that time feel like I had time for meditation. And, well, I did journal back then. But the one thing I always did is I always went and work out. And that was my form of meditation. It was my form of taking care of Shaunna. So even when my life was pretty harried, I had a pretty good self-care intuition about finding time for me to at least have time for me. And usually it was very early in the morning because that was the only time nobody else wanted, right? From about, 8 a.m. on till, 10 o'clock at night, there was work, there was kids, there was dinner, there was sports, there was, practices, then there was homework. Then I went back to work, right? To finish my stuff. But the morning time was really sacred. And I can't even tell you how many years I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
That was just your me time.
That was my me time.
And that's so it has a direct correlation, right?
It does.
It's like you need to have me time, like you giving yourself time. And that's how more you get into it, then you stay connected to yourself.
Yes.
And those lead to all the different things what we talked about, to knowing who you are and was to give yourself priority, embrace yourself and respect yourself.
Yeah, I think people in general, but women especially, get so many people defining what success for them looks like, right?
Yes.
You get so much unsolicited input about the kind of mom you should be, the kind of wife you should be.
Too many roles.
Yes, the kind of boss you should be.
Too many roles.
Kind of friend you should be. And if you're not taking the time out for yourself to sort of silence that chatter, you can get really confused about what you want in your own
identity,
life, right? Exactly.
You get confused, and then your whole family will know.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the way we function, right?
Yeah.
If mama's not happy, no one's happy.
But even at work, it's amazing how many people will tell you, what next job you should have, what career you should have, how you should perform, what your style should be. I mean, so much unsolicited feedback.
Yeah.
And so to quiet the chatter and go back into yourself really on a daily basis, I think is so important.
Yeah, I think we need to create a system for ourselves.
Absolutely.
So I think those daily habits doesn't matter. I recently was working on my health. I went through the health transformation. So I think I learned a lot of little stuff, basic stuff. It was a habits, daily routine. That's only lead to good success. And you can really, otherwise, I tried many years, I here dabbling into the routine. I didn't see the results. Those sounds very simple, baby step, but those works.
Yeah.
To just find a me time, give priority to yourself that keep you connected. And then even though these bigger world, the world we talk about, purpose, mission, these are combination of daily routine.
Absolutely.
And talking to yourself and finding answer from within.
Yeah.
No, thank you. That I really enjoyed this conversation with you, and I can talk another hour.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to say one thing before we get off. We've talked about the challenge of technology for women in a lot of ways, but I want to be really clear that I loved and love today my continuing career in technology. I think it's an amazing place for women and people of color, and we're underrepresented. And I am very concerned that in the last number of years of COVID, women are leaving technology at very high rates. A lot because of their responsibilities at home that have been added on them during COVID. Yes. But technology is the fastest growing, richest paying industry in the world. And women and people of color are underrepresented. And we cannot have technology solutions that fit us if women are not a part of technology creation, right? That's so important. And the second thing is, if women and people of color are not equitably represented in technology, it just means over time the pay gap between women and people of color and men is just going to increase because we're not getting our share of the pie. And so I have a great passion for women in technology. And I believe women can have a wonderful career in technology. And I just want to make it easier for them by being there for them, helping them understand the secret sauce, helping them understand what makes it easier to work in technology. But we really need women in technology. It's important.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Honestly, it's changed my life since I got into the technology. And I think a lot of time what happened, we stop exploring different options even within technology. Mm-hmm. In technology, again, it goes to the concept. It's a very rich industries, and you have a lot of creative roles in this industries. We don't have to just to know the complex part. If that align with you, it's good. If not, there's many different roles in technology. And again, we really need to dig down to it, and we need to align our
it touches every part of our life.
Yes.
It changes the world. It's so important that we fully participate in it.
Yes, I will encourage the same to at least to start exploring different opportunity in tech, and then you can see where life can take you from there.
Absolutely. And the more of us in technology, the more we can change it.
Yes, I agree with it. Thank you so much, Shaunna. Shaunna, if people want to reach out to you and they want to learn more about it, tell me a little more about your first. I know I heard about your upcoming book. I think you mentioned.
I'm working on.
Don't know much. Yes. I want to hear even first time from you.
Yes, I'm in the editing phase now with my publisher of a book called Grit and Grace, Leading with the Heart Through Crisis. And it's a story of leaders, a lot of them my clients, and how they led with both fortitude and courage and grace and their heart through COVID and led their people to success. And, we heard so many stories in COVID that were not that positive. And I thought, nobody is writing about these leaders who every day just show up to work and do the right thing for their people and for their company. And so I decided last year I wanted to write
Congratulations.
about that.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I can't wait to,
Yeah, hopefully it'll be out later this summer. I'm very it's my first book, so I'm very excited about it.
Congratulations.
It's taken longer than I thought, but I'm excited about it.
No, congratulations. And also, tell me about, I think you're also building your online community or business.
Yes. So, I've had my own consulting company since 2009 when I left corporate. And doing business consulting. But I've realized that I think COVID really triggered it. I have always just had a passion for women and leaders in technology. And so over the last 6 months, I've been pivoting a lot of my business to women leaders in technology, particularly focusing on 30 to 45 leaders, really my younger self. And I had a very successful career in technology, and I learned a lot along the way and had a lot of help from a lot of friends along the way. And I think I have a secret sauce. And I would really like to help women find the joy and the fulfillment in their careers while being their authentic self. And so I'm going to invest more of my time in being that person to help women have the career they want to have.
Oh, congratulations. And I think people can reach out to you through the LinkedIn.
Yes, they can.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much, Shaunna,
it was a joy.
Coming to our show and today's episode, Purpose and Passion Discovery. And I loved our conversation. And thanks, everyone, for listening to today's episode, The Purpose and Passion Discovery. And if you want to learn more about my services, and you can also click the link below. And please don't forget to subscribe our channel, because that way you won't miss any upcoming episode. So, and as we said, yes, we are not lost. So just take a pause and reconnect with yourself and start living a meaningful life. And share, care, and be rare.
Thank you for listening. Please be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast player. If you ever have questions, visit unstoppablewithease.com or contact us at unstoppablewithease@gmail.com. Yes, we are not lost. We just need to take a pause and reconnect with ourselves to craft the life we want. Share, care, and be rare.